A lot of people ask me, hey Sillin, how do you actually combo in Smash Ultimate? And that's a good question, dear viewer. Today I'm gonna answer your tiny question in a long video. Sorry, there's never an easy answer in this mess of a game. Before we start with the how, I'm gonna explain you the what? What is a combo? You think that might be a silly question, but actually, you are the silly one.
Boom. Roasted.
I see this term combo often used, I'd say incorrectly, all over social media and even in YouTube tutorials. Heck, I use it incorrectly as well, but there's a simple explanation for that. The word combo is easier to understand than the word string or advantage. If I would have put the word string instead of combo in the title, I think not as many players would have clicked on the video. But everybody knows the term combo, and that's why it is used so comfortably. It's even funnier when a Giga nerd comments on Twitter and it's all like, actually, that's not a combo, it's a string. I don't want you to say the right thing all the time, I just want you to understand what the difference is. Because this is important to understand how you're gonna combo your opponent in the end. Now let's go with these definitions. Combo. A set of actions performed in sequence, usually with strict timing limitations that yield a significant benefit or advantage. By Google. String. The same shit as a combo, but it's escapable through DI, air dodging, tagging and other actions. By Silentor. Let's put it in perspective. This is a combo. And this is a string. Because it involved an air dodge read and was not true whatsoever. I know an ugly example, but best I could think of, okay? Please don't hurt me, guys. Combos are always true, strings are not true. But they keep the advantage state flowing by following up after a tech chase, for example. And this is the important part. Many things you see in a tournament are strings to keep the advantage going. Combos are an execution test. But strings are the magic. Getting into your opponent's head. Reading their air dodge, reading their DI, and what's even more important, if you understand strings, you can get your kill confirms more easily. Let's take Mewtwo for an example. Here Mewtwo grabbed the opponent right under a platform. You have the following options. A. Go for an F throw and get them into an offstage situation. B. Go for an up throw and get them into a juggling situation. Or C. Go for a down throw and get them into a attacking situation. And this is where the magic begins. C. We go for the tech chase. A and B would be better for stage positioning. This, on the other hand, secures the stock. Now don't get me wrong, you can escape this by purposefully not tagging and timing your getup. Because you can't get hit by a down special if you're flat on the ground. Understanding the situation your opponent is in and the environment around you is important in learning how to combo. I could sit here all day and talk about all of my main true combos, but this would only get you so far. And at the end of the day, it is only an execution test and you can search them up on YouTube anyway for your respective main. For true combos, I can only tell you to practice them. But strings, how to keep it flowing? I can teach you that. Players will try everything to get out of a combo. And when you understand their habits, you can punish them extra hard for it. Theoretically, sometimes you can even abandon your true combo just to read an air dodge, which sets them up for a kill confirm. So instead of finishing a combo, you can string two combos together by abandoning your first combo. The same does not only apply to air dodges, but also to DI, tech chases and so on and so on. Especially tech chases can be devastating and even more so on fast followers. Because they hit the ground faster.
Well, duh.
Why do you think Wario mains are just standing there menacingly with full waft and not push further after their opponent got slammed to the ground? Well, because up tilt waft is true and more devastating than trying to follow up with a little fair for extra damage. If I had a nuke button in form of toxic gas, I would also rather try to go for the stock than getting maybe 8% more in with a tiny foot. The same goes for Royce that down tilt. They don't down tilt because it's a good combo starter. It's not for comboing at all. They down tilt because it sets up for tech chases, which can lead into F smashes or jab back airs. You can also use your movement to trick your opponent into rolling in. What I want to say is that there's much more than just executing the right buttons at the right moment to get the damage going. At least for the majority of the cast. It is also about getting your opponent into a tough situation, like a tech chase or keeping them airborne through juggling. You're still playing against another human being and you can read the soul out of them when they are landing or fake out approaches to make them use the air dodge. You have to account the environment of the stage as well. Do you play on a flat stage like FD or on a tri-flat stage like Battlefield? Because on Battlefield, you can't go for platform tag chases with Sephiroth's up smash, for example. But if you play Kazuya, you don't have to worry about people messing up the DI while underneath a platform. And at the same time, you can catch landings way better on a flat stage like FD, which leads to frame traps or air dodge reads. Another aspect I have not talked about yet is understanding your character and your opponent's character. If you want to combo a character like Luigi, yeah, then have fun and good luck, he has the escape button. However, if you know Luigi has the escape button, you can prepare yourself for it and punish him hard. And what's even more important is understanding your character and your limitations. You cannot force things to combo, but you can know how far you are able to combo and think about the next steps afterwards. People often ask me how I can combo so fast in every situation when I hit a move. And the answer is that I already know what I want to do as soon as I hit the move. Let's take this clip for an example, first in full speed. With my bomb in hand, my options are limited, so I opt for B reverse boomerang off the platform. Seeing how Wario approaches, there's a high possibility that he gets hit. Usually you follow up with a fair after boomerang, but I got my bomb in hand, so I had to C-drop Nair. Wario has some quick moves, so he can reversal me with Nair. That's why I wait a bit until he's landing to whiff punish him. I wanted to go for a C-drop back air here, because Wario is tiny and it's hard to Nair train him. However, the back air sets him up for an aerial C-drop Nair, which is, by the way, not DIable, because the move doesn't send into tumble at that percent. Just a quick note here, you cannot DI moves which don't send into tumble. I've seen this way too many times that people are saying just DI on a non-tumble hit, and it always makes my head hurt. Okay, rant over, now back to the combo. The back air sets up for an aerial C-drop Nair, and due to his percent and fall speed, I know that Wario is gonna land on the ground. I cannot do Nair trains here due to the percent, but a C-drop footstool bomb detonation is possible, so I opt for that and end the stock with a down air. Sure, there are a few parts where Wario messed up. He DI'd the boomerang in, he could have jumped after the first Nair, and for some reason he wanted to immediately counterattack after my back air. But here's the thing. Nobody is perfect and everybody makes mistakes and leaves openings. It's just a matter of you finding the right openings. I think this is something which comes with experience. That you're quick to react on your moves when hitting your opponent or understanding the situation your opponent is in. Let's summarize everything again for you guys. Know your moves' properties in and out. Knockback angle, tech chase ability, etc. Know what your opponent can do in certain situations. Do they have a good escape option? Do they rather attack? Do they even have a counter? Keep the environment in your head. What might work on Battlefield might not work on Final Destination and vice versa. Understand the situation. Is your opponent landing, tacking or even recovering? You can punish them with another combo starter. Don't brute force a combo that's not true. Sometimes it is better to wait a reaction of your opponent to continue the string. And most importantly, keep saying combo, nobody cares anyway. Thank you so much for watching, I hope you enjoyed this little combo guide. The focus was not really on the executional side of things and more on the theoretical aspect of it. Also, don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. Until next time, bye bye.